Thursday, January 6th, we're bringing you the latest news making headlines to help you start your day.
Today marks 1 year since the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol, where supporters of former President Trump breached the Capitol. The committee formed to investigate that day and the days leading up to it is still working to determine what went wrong and who's responsible.
As Britt Conway reports, we could have some answers in a matter of months.
1 year ago today, deadly violence in D.C. as thousands of people descended upon the U.S. Capitol trying to prevent the electoral vote certification for the 2020 election. Since then, more than 700 people have been charged in connection with the insurrection, and a House Select Committee has been entrenched in a sweeping investigation of the attack, working to establish the definitive narrative of what happened that day and what led up to it, offer a series of recommendations to prevent it from happening again, and if they discover criminal activity, send it to the Department of Justice. But finding hard evidence of wrongdoing hasn't been easy. The committee is fighting pushback from former President Donald Trump, including nearly a dozen challenges by his allies. Still, the investigation presses on. So far, the committee has conducted interviews with more than 300 people, collected around 35,000 documents, and issued more than 50 subpoenas. It's also been seeking phone records and bank records, and digging into texts and other communications. In the coming months, there could be prime-time public hearings. Then in the summer, we could see an interim report. And ahead of the 2022 midterm elections in November, it could all be wrapped up. But today, on the anniversary, the focus is on safety, monitoring possible threats on the ground and online. Britt Conway, CBS 46 News.
And there are more than 300 remembrance events planned across the country, including here in Georgia. Iva King is organizing a vigil and rally this evening. It'll be at Athens City Hall, not only to remember the events of January 6th, but also to highlight the need for legislation to protect the right to vote.
If we don't all stand up and say, this is important, we need to be paying attention, we could lose our democracy.
Well, you can find a list of all of the events happening in Metro Atlanta today on our CBS 46 streaming app. And here's a live look right now at our nation's capital. You can see coming up in our next half hour, a live report from Washington, D.C. Lawmakers are getting ready for a solemn day of remembrance.
The 7-day average of daily COVID cases has nearly doubled from the previous week. And this morning, there's some welcome news for parents. The CDC has expanded eligibility for Pfizer's COVID booster shot to include all Americans 12 years old and at least 12 years old, at least 5 months after they've been fully vaccinated.
And even with COVID case counts hitting all-time highs, 2 more Metro Atlanta school districts are starting the second semester today in person. CBS 46's Rebecca Schramm continues our live team coverage this morning. And Rebecca, you're in Gwinnett County, which is the state's largest school district, but they're going back in person.
Yeah, they are, Grevier. Gwinnett students will return today, and also Forsyth County students will return in person today for the second half of the school year. Of course, school leaders are asking parents to keep their students at home if they have any signs of COVID. As we've been telling you, several other school districts here in Metro Atlanta started the semester virtually already. Atlanta Public Schools are planning to reopen their buildings for in-person learning on Monday. Starting today, APS will have 9 cluster sites where students and employees can get tested for COVID. And later this month, Atlanta schools will begin a test to stay program where if you're identified as a close contact of a COVID positive person, you'll be allowed to stay in school as long as you don't have any symptoms and if you continue to test negative for 10 days. In Clayton County schools, which started back virtually yesterday, the superintendent has notified employees that they are not allowed to return to their buildings until they can show a negative COVID test. Testing will be offered at their schools. Anybody who does not comply will have to take sick days until they get a test.
Allowing them to start virtually while we test all of our employees, and we have about 7,500 employees, gives us the opportunity to ensure that we're not, as adults, contributing to children getting the virus.
Again, here in Gwinnett County, they're starting back in person today. Coming up in our next half hour, you're going to hear from a mom in Cobb County, which started back yesterday, why she says she's not as concerned with the Omicron variant now being the major strain. Live near Norcross in Gwinnett County, Rebecca Schramm, CBS 46 News.
Rebecca, thank you. COVID patients dominating hospital floors across the state once again this morning, and now we're seeing staffing shortages as well.
Tori Cooper joins us live. She's at Grady Memorial. So, Tori, what are they telling you at Grady?
Yeah, the Georgia Hospital Association, which oversees all of our hospitals, tells us that this latest surge is now not only impacting the morale of staff, it's now impacting their ability to get patients where they need to go in and out in a quick fashion. Now, the latest data also shows this isn't getting any better, guys. It shows that our hospital emergency rooms are 87% at capacity. Our ICUs are 83% full as well. Children's Healthcare of Atlanta has been treating 118 patients with COVID in their 3 hospitals. Just 8 days ago, they had 62 COVID-19 patients, and a week before that, there were only 22. Now, Metro Atlanta ambulance crews, I should say, told us that they're scattering, just trying to find hospitals that have the ability to accept patients in need of care.
Is just keeping up with the hospital status, having someone that's dedicated that can, adjust and recommend to the crews other options for hospitals.
Now, if you are watching right now, again, the best thing that you can do is if you need to get tested, do not show up here. Go to a testing site. That's what all of our area hospitals have been asking everyone. They say it is slowing down operations here, and that is the best way as a community that we can help our hospital system. Reporting live in downtown Atlanta, I'm Tori Cooper, CBS 46 News.
Good information, Tori. Thank you for that. 2 very lucky lottery players are holding winning tickets this morning for the $632 million Powerball jackpot. The winning tickets were sold at a 7-Eleven in Sacramento, California, and in Wisconsin. And someone here in Georgia matched at least 5 numbers in the power play to win $2 million. So check your tickets. The winning numbers are 6, 14, 25, 33, 46, and the Powerball is 17. Keeping an eye on today with the other stories you need to know.
Former Georgia Senator Johnny Isakson is going to be laid to rest this afternoon. He passed away last month. He was 76 years old. The service will be at Peachtree Road United Methodist Church in Atlanta. Visitation is from 12:30 to 1:30. In lieu of flowers, memorial donations can be made to the Isakson Initiative.
President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris will be in Atlanta next week to focus attention on election reform. The White House says the trip will highlight the need for legislation to protect the right to vote. President Biden is also expected to touch on voting rights today in his speech marking the first anniversary of the Capitol insurrection.
Governor Kemp is pushing for a new state law that would make it easier for Georgians to arm themselves. The constitutional carry legislation would do away with the need for a permit to carry a handgun in public.
The late great hammer Hank Aaron has reached his final resting place. Friends, family, and former major leaguers gathered for a ceremony at historic Southview Cemetery in southwest Atlanta. Aaron passed away last January at the age of 86.
A company that aims to recycle lithium-ion batteries is building its first large plant in Georgia. Battery Resources is investing $43 million into that facility in Covington and hiring 150 people. The company does expect to be up and running by August.
The 2022 National College Football Playoff Championship between UGA and Alabama is just 4 days away. More than 100,000 people are expected to visit Indianapolis for the biggest game in college football. The two teams, as we well know, faced off a month ago here in Atlanta. Alabama, of course, coming out on top in that game. But this time around, a national championship's at stake. We're back this morning on the 1-year anniversary of the U.S. Capitol attack. False narratives continue to top social media feeds of many Americans.
This morning, our Brooks Baptiste is in studio with a few fact checks that you need to know heading into today. Brooks, good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you guys. You know, this is something that you're definitely going to have to watch out for as you're scrolling from images to baseless claims. We want to clear up some of the misinformation that you may see on your social media feeds throughout the day. All right, so there's this claim that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi rejected former President Trump's request for 10,000 National Guard troops to be deployed before January 6th, which is the day of the attack. Well, we can tell you that that is false. The Pentagon says that there is no record of a request from Trump. Pelosi's office said she was never contacted about deploying troops, and that a Department of Defense memo can also confirm that. Now, you might have seen this image that really went viral on social media the day of the attack, showing a man carrying a Confederate flag during the Capitol riot. All right, a lot of talk about this because some people thought that he was a police officer. Still seeing that online. Well, this man was identified by the FBI as Kevin Seafried, and he was charged in connection with the riot, and we can tell you that he is not a police officer. And lastly, acting pardon attorney Rosalind Sargent Burns said Trump was strongly considering pardoning Capitol rioters. Well, is that true? No, that is actually false as well. Trump did not pardon any rioters during his final days in the office. The Justice Department issued a statement saying it was not involved in any efforts to pardon people that took place in the Capitol riot. All right, guys, so here is the bottom line. On an anniversary like today, social media giants are working overtime to stop the spread of misinformation, but you can bet those false claims will continue to circulate online. So just be careful before you just share random things on social media.
And believe those random things. I mean,
Absolutely.
I think you really have to just be very watchful.
Social media certainly
careful.
impacts the perception of these events. Brooks,
Yeah.
thanks. Today, 350,000 Chicago students will miss another day of classes.
School leaders in the nation's third largest school district have failed to reach an agreement with the teachers union over COVID-19 safety protocols. Earlier this week, the teachers voted to return to remote learning, but Chicago's mayor called it an illegal work stoppage.
Enough is enough. We are standing firm, and we are going to fight to get our kids back in-person learning.
Of the 5 largest school districts in the country, only Los Angeles requires a negative test before coming to class. The others are opting for social distancing and masking.
N95 respirators can be reused over and over again if they're properly decontaminated. A new study tested the respirators by using vaporized hydrogen peroxide to decontaminate them. The N95s were still effective even after being used and decontaminated 25 times. Researchers say this can help maintain the supply of respirators for future epidemics.
The best men's tennis player in the world may have to miss the Australian Open.
Yeah, this is interesting. Australia denied Novak Djokovic entry into the country and canceled his visa. The 20-time major champion is unvaccinated, and he applied for a visa that does not allow medical exemptions for being unvaccinated. He plans to appeal the decision. Less than a week after Antonio Brown stormed off the field mid-game, the wide receiver now, interestingly, opening up about the incident.
Our Brooks Baptiste joins us in studio with the stories that are topping your social media feeds. And that was interesting enough.
Right.
Now he says, you know what, he didn't quit.
Yeah, that's what he says. He says he did not quit. Antonio Brown releasing a statement through his attorney saying he had a painful ankle injury during Sunday's game. The wide receiver says he told Coach Bruce Arians that he could not play because he was hurt. He says Arians ordered him to get on the field anyway, and he refused to do it. Brown says that the coach effectively fired him right there on the sideline, and Arians has denied knowing anything about the injury. Well, this morning, the Pope is facing backlash after labeling couples who choose to have pets instead of children selfish. He called the decision a detriment to civilization and claims it leads to a loss of humanity. The Pope advised couples who cannot have children to consider adoption, meaning adopt children and not pets. Well, TikTok is going to a whole new level. The short-form video app landed a deal with Atmosphere TV, which is a streaming service for businesses. Check this out. Soon you could start seeing TikTok videos on TVs in fast food restaurants, gyms, bars, and medical offices. Well, Atmosphere removes the audio and adds its own licensed materials. So the viral TikTok, videos, they may not have the same effect as if you were actually using the app. But isn't that somewhat wild that this is going to take up more of our time, and then you could be just chilling in a Burger King, a Taco Bell, a medical office, and just see yourself because you went viral up there on the screen?
Leave it to me to analyze this, but TikTok is made for cell phones in the vertical video.
Correct.
And it showing up on a TV, you're going to have wings on it. It's just not going to look good.
You must work in TV, Rob, because nobody was thinking that, but that is a very good point.
For all of our viewers who ever see anything newsworthy, turn that phone sideways for us so we can use it on the news, all right?
Thanks for watching CBS 46 News. Watch us live wherever you are, our mobile and our streaming news app. You can also watch us on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV.